recently we moved into a new home, and as a housewarming gift, my dad bought us a nice 70-inch TV to put down in our family room in the basement. And then finally, we were doing some work. We were rebuilding the fireplace, and we've been doing some plumbing stuff. And so we've been doing all these things. And finally, we got the fireplace done. All right, great. Let's get this TV out and let's get it hung on the wall. Like over a month later. So we take the top of the box off. And then as we go to lift the TV, my wife and I go to lift the TV out of the little bottom section that has styrofoam in it. It slipped out of my hands. 6 inches from the floor. It slipped out of my hands and hit the hardwood floor and damaged the TV. And that was it. So I reached out to my dad. I said, Dad, I broke the TV.
Are you sitting down?
Are you sitting down? I broke the TV.
Some things never change in a relationship.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure your dad's just like,
this kid, this white
Son,
kid, I swear.
I can't. This is why I can't get you good things, good, nice things.
And the one time I buy something real nice, you go and just throw it on the ground. You don't even care. Don't even care. So my dad then reaches out to Amazon via everything's done online. Says, hey, TV's damaged. Didn't see any signs to damage on the box. So not a lie. Not a lie.
They're hearing this now,
I know. Well, it's too late now. So Amazon then says, cool, here's a UPS label, ship it back. And I shipped it back and they refunded him the money. So win-win.
Wow.
And they'll just go back to they'll go back to whomever, Samsung, and say, hey, here's a crappy, monitor that died on us. What do you think? Right? Don't you think they'll do something? Try to do it on their end as well?
Yeah, I don't know.
See what Samsung will do.
I would imagine that they've got some type of deal. Like Amazon has some type of deal. Like if Samsung is the store on Amazon, I'm sure that their deal is, listen, you can sell on here and it's going to be easy for people to buy on here. Most people will buy here on Amazon. But if somebody complains or somebody doesn't want it anymore, you got to eat that one.
Yeah.
Eat it.
It's a numbers game, man. Think about it. Out of the 1,000 people that order a TV that week on Amazon, I was the idiot who dropped it and broke it and had to return it. But the other 999...
All the other 900 responsible people, yeah. 999.
100%, yeah. All the rest of the all the true Christian responsible people. Real adults.
Real adults.
Not kids
Not
playing
children.
Adults. Come on. They, Amazon's happy with them. Samsung's happy with them. I'm the a-hole.
They did mark my account and they put child.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The good news is this was all under my dad's name. So
yeah,
I'm still good in Amazon's eyes.
And you're still good in your father's eyes, which is even better.
You know what? My dad, he was so awesome about it. He didn't say, damn it. He didn't say anything. He said, hey, here's a label. Go ahead and ship it back. And then he did tell me, he said, when they refund me, you and I we'll go get a new TV. I thought, man, I hope I'm that kind of dad to my kids.
It is yet to be seen.
Well, there's been a few incidents. Like one of them, what was it? I was cleaning my car or something like that. Like I just gotten this new car. I'd had it for maybe a year. And then my youngest son, Rylan, was out there hitting baseballs off a tee, just practicing hitting baseballs. And then he would start throwing them up in the air. And then he did this thing where he was sticking the ball on top of the bat and he'd pop the bat up and the ball would go in the air and it would come down and then he would hit it. And it was really cool. So he's like, hey dad, check this out. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And I'm kind of watching it from inside the garage and my car sitting out in the driveway. And then he does it. And then all of a sudden I hear him go, no. And then dead center on my windshield. And fortunately, I didn't lose my cool. I did tell him that I couldn't talk to him at the moment.
Go away.
I said, hey, why don't you go inside for a little bit? I needed to, process all
Digest this
for a minute before I lost my cool. And then, I sat there for a minute and just kind of thought about it and thought, you know what? There's a windshield. And what do I want to teach him in this moment? I want to lose my mind, but what do I want to teach him? Yeah. And, I yelled, I opened the door and I said, hey, Ron, come here. He came outside and said, hey, buddy, that happens. I said, you didn't do that intentionally, man. You didn't do that to hurt me. Yeah. you never thought that would happen. That's why you did what you did. And that was a true accident.
Yeah.
And it's all right. Don't worry about it.
That's nice of you, Todd.
I'm a great dad. I'm really good.
I'm pretty much
I'm a great human.
Bee's knees.
I mean, yeah. If they were to write stories about a human man, it'd be about me.
Chicken soup from the Todd soul.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Human
really
man
great.
stories, all about Todd Stevens.
Human
Good
man
job.
stories from
Thanks,
the Todd
guys.
father.
Anywho, how you guys been? Enough about my sad stories.
It was a good story.
It was a great story. It was really, I'm glad that all the things got taken care of. I've been good. Josh, how about you? I've been good. I've just been in Memphis and got back. Was on there for a work trip. Taking
What are you
care of
working
my
on?
fam here now, and just
What are you working on?
what am I? I'm working on a television show right now.
You ever work on a project and just like as you're working on a project, like you're literally smiling and you're literally like laughing. Like
I'm laughing my head off with this project. It's
that's
hilarious.
awesome. That makes it fun.
The writers of the show are genius. They're great improv actors originally, and they just improvise pretty much on the set, and so after they're done doing like the script, they'll kind of riff, and it's funny. I mean, yeah, there's been a couple times where I just did a spit take or something because it was so funny. I spit out my soda.
More funny than lamb chops?
Way funnier than lamb chop. What is lamb chop?
You talking about the puppet lamb chops?
That one little old lady that sat there. Yeah, way funnier than her. Was she even funny?
I don't even know what the name of the show was. I used to watch it though. As a kid.
Yeah, I remember seeing lamb chops.
The song that never ends.
That poses a good question. Like, talk about shows, kid shows. Like Mr. Rogers, great show. Loved watching it, but it was never funny.
No, not really. Not ever.
It was educational.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just helped kids feel good, like he put them at ease. Don't worry, kids. Everything's calm and
Which is probably why we have such a mental health problem now, because we don't see Fred Rogers anymore, because all of our kids shows are like promoting ADHD.
Or we all believe that the only way to be happy was to go to this fake world. Like, I want to get on a happy trolley and go to some cool shit instead of this lame place. Let me put my sweater and cool shoes on.
Man, I have always said that I'm glad I hit video games when, video games were lame, right? Because if I were a teenager today, I would be in big trouble. I'd be so addicted to being in other worlds, with all the graphics of the, Fortnitery and
it's a world. It's a whole world.
It's a whole new world.
My friend's in it, and it blows my mind. He educates me a lot on all that stuff, and I'm just like, what? What do you mean?
It's a lot of fun, man.
Stay on this for like 70 hours straight, and
wow. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just my kids, but what I've seen with my kids and like my two boys who are younger, looking at them like with social media and video games and all that kind of stuff, there was a period of time when they were a little bit younger, maybe 13, 14, 15, where I was like, I don't know, like they're really into these games. They're really into like social media. Like should I be worried? But then what I found like over the last year or so, it's just kind of another tool. Like when they're bored, they'll play a video game. When they're bored, they'll get on social media. But other than that, they're doing shit.
That's good.
Right. So I don't know.
That's
I think
good.
What we're going to see in the future is more of that. It's just
a pendulum shift.
Yeah, because it's going to be so commonplace, man. Like it's there. Like when it's new, it's like, oh my gosh, this is new. Like I want to consume it all. But when it's part of your life and you grew up with it, who cares?
Don't you think it's interesting though that you actually do now have like,
but they haven't been on Twitch
centers for kids that are stuck in video game land.
I didn't know that was a thing.
There's addiction. Oh yeah, there's definitely for electronics in general.
Sure,
for sure. But definitely there's a lot of it. There's guys who have in Japan. There's all these cafes where you can just go and sit and just play video games, right? And they've had guys die just sitting there for 3 days, not eating right.
What?
Not. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not. This is real. Like,
are you serious?
People show up and they're like, he's gone. He literally played to death.
That's crazy.
There's a lot of fear. Like, they're fearful of getting out from that world, and it's. I mean, it's not. And again, there are whole levels of video gamers and stuff where obviously we're not making like a big, statement about all of them, but I mean, you have Twitch, which is the big streaming channel for everyone. But I mean, they have, speed runs. I mean, these people will play this game over and over and over for days. I mean, like hours becomes days, and they play it so they can speed run through it. And it's this old game from 20 years ago. So it has no really relevance to today. It's just that's their hobby. That's their industry. And then you have these big competitions, these gaming competitions. And it's like, wow. When I worked with teens, there were a few that would come through, like when we would do entrepreneurship, they wanted to do all these like gaming, like businesses and stuff. And I mean, it was a whole other world.
Well, what's interesting about all of that is today we're going to tell a story about a dude who didn't have any of that stuff. No games.
Oh,
no nothing. This dude was basically
Davy Crockett.
No,
Davy Crockett.
Yeah, this dude basically was frontier. Like kind of shut away from the entire world. Do you guys know the story of Kaspar Hauser?
The name sounds familiar.
No,
I don't.
The name sounds familiar.
Kaspar Hauser, the mysterious youth who baffled 19th century Germany.
I'm excited.
So this dude, again, man, he didn't have any cool stuff. So how this rocks out.
How did he baffle 19th century Germany?
Yeah, let's kind of go into that. So
let's do this. I want to know.
Please do.
Who wants to know?
I do.
I'm raising my hand. I want to know.
1828, Kaspar Hauser emerges from the woods outside of Nuremberg, claiming to have grown up in a tiny, dark cell. But centuries later, it's still not clear who he was or where he even came from. Intrigued?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did he have superpowers?
No superpowers. But no one paid attention to Kaspar Hauser when he first strolled into Nuremberg, Germany, one morning in 1828. The young boy of about 16 was wearing pantaloons, a silk necktie, a waistcoat, and a gray jacket, and a handkerchief with the initials KH embroidered onto it. Pantaloons. Are those the kind of flowy, just below the knee pants with stockings? You know what I'm talking about?
Like MC Hammer made it popular in the 90s. I think.
Yeah, like 19th century capris.
Yeah, it's like stops at the shins.
Weightlifting pants in the 90s.
That's what it was. Yep. His boots were so torn up that his feet were bursting through them and mangled from the road.
Ugh.
So it does kind of sound like this dude just crawled out of nowhere. Okay, yeah, here's a picture. Here's a picture of him. Yeah, pantaloons. They're like the
I got
knickers.
Look him up 1 second.
Knickers.
Kind of knickers, where it stops just below the knee.
Yeah.
He looks real good.
What's his name? Kaspar
Kaspar Hauser.
Hauser.
With a K. Kaspar.
Oh, okay. Kaspar. Hauser.
Hauser.
Gosh. Kaspar.
Well, he definitely has like some flush on his face for, growing up in an isolated cell. You think he would be like white as a ghost.
Well, he had to travel a little bit, right?
That's true.
Well, they made a statue of him. That's nice of them.
Well, look at that.
I don't have a statue.
When he appeared, he carried with him a letter, the contents of which confounded police and the public alike for centuries to come. The letter claimed Hauser had grown up in a darkened cell, isolated from the rest of the world, and he had recently been released in order to become a cavalryman. Some claimed Hauser was royalty, others a fraud. To this day, the identity of Hauser remains unknown, and his end was just as tragic and mysterious as his beginning. So the day he shows up, this is kind of how this plays out. May 26, 1828. Hauser enters the city of Nuremberg carrying with him 2 letters. One addressed to the captain of the 4th Squadron of the 6th Cavalry Regiment. Say that 7 times fast.
Mhm.
Captain von Wessignig, and another letter from his mother to his prior caretaker.
Okay, so the mother was not in the picture?
It doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like his mother was in the picture.
That's probably why he was in the cell.
There was a claim that the letters were given to him by his prior caretaker who had no blood relation to him, even though he had raised him as a son. Most curiously, the letter claimed that since his birth on April 30th, 1812, Hauser had not gone a step from the house in order that nobody might know where he was brought up. That's freaky, man.
Oh, you think he was born out of wedlock?
So that's what they're kind of
try to keep him
here,
hiding,
right? So he had a caretaker that kept him away from the rest of the world so that no one would see him.
It's kind of like what they did with a lot of bastards in the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, he could have very well been a bastard child. So the mysterious note went on to claim that the boy could read, write, and wanted to become a horseman like his father. So I wonder, okay, so like his father, he wanted to become a horseman. So I wonder, did he know his dad or did he only know stories of his dad? Although he did not have parents, said the letter, if he did, he would have been a learned man.
A learned man.
Learned man. He would have been a learned man. A learned man.
Learned.
I'm getting me learnt.
Hey guys, you guys got any books? I'm trying to get learnt up in here.
I really like to make an impression with the ladies. You got any books on getting learnt?
I heard ladies like a man who's learnt and can read.
Learnt. Oh yeah. That's funny.
So the letter ended ominously, and the author stated that it would cost me my neck had he escorted Hauser to Nuremberg himself. That's freaky.
Why?
I don't know. A shoemaker named Wickman took Hauser to the house of Captain von Wesning, to whom one of the letters had been addressed.
Step back. Are these letters on him?
Yeah, so he shows up basically in Nuremberg, kind of out of the woods with these 2 letters on him.
Is he able to talk much?
It doesn't seem that way.
I mean, he's obviously not learned, but
he says that he's half wild child from the forest.
Half wild child.
So what does this guy go on to do? Like,
well, we're going to get to that, Tim.
Come on, Todd. He sounds boring right now. So he was trapped in a cell.
You don't find that interesting?
Is he going to time travel? Is he going to get abducted by aliens?
I think we spoiled Tim with all that.
Tim, it's always got to be a real fascinating.
I'm
$180, $400 million budget film. Come on.
Yeah.
Tim, this is an indie film.
This is the
$125,000
This is a dinner with Andre here. My dinner with Andre. Slow.
Sorry,
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's really good.
Right, well, he steps out of the woods. He has 2 letters on him, and he's obviously a little off. And they take him to a shoemaker. Takes him to a captain
house
who is mentioned in the letter.
Yes, one of the letters is addressed to Captain von Wessignig.
Oh.
Who wrote it? And is it our guy Kaspar or just his mom? Or
well, what it says who wrote it? It says his caretaker.
Write that letter. He ain't learned.
He's learned.
It says his caretaker wrote one of the letters.
Okay, thanks.
Hauser would repeat only these words. So I guess he did talk a little. So these are the only words he would say. I want to be a cavalryman, as my father was. And he would say, horse.
Hey, what's your name? I want to be a cavalryman.
Horse.
Maybe he was, on the spectrum. Like he could have been just, a quirky dude.
What are you talking about?
They locked up. They locked up special needs.
But you're very much right. I mean, he could have been. And then any other questions he was asked, the only other words that he would say was, "Don't know."
Don't know.
Don't know.
No, this
I
guy's
want to be a
fella.
cavalryman, as my father was. Horse.
What's your name? Don't know.
Don't know.
What's your favorite color?
Don't know.
Don't know.
Where'd you come from? Horse.
Where'd you come from? Where'd you go? Where'd you come from? Cotton Eye Joe.
Interesting. So he's got the Hodor vocabulary. He's like Groot.
Hold on.
I am Groot.
I am Groot. Yeah, pretty soon people were just like, they'd know what he was saying by how he said horse.
Hodor.
I'm pretty sure he's upset with me. He said horse pretty bad. Like he was
Horse. Oh my gosh, you're right. Do you think that they would talk to him like they did Groot? Right?
Yeah,
You know how,
that's
like,
what I mean.
Groot
Like,
just says, I am Groot. And they're like, no, what are you talking about? Watch your mouth, Groot, right?
hey,
You
man.
think he would be like,
right.
horse. What? He's in a well?
Hey, don't swear at me.
Holy crap, man.
Don't use those swears with me.
What would you like for dinner? Horse? We're not having duck tonight.
Don't know.
Come on. What the hell is your name, by the way?
Okay, so he's at the captain's house.
Yeah, what happens?
So, yeah, Wessingnig, the captain, then took the boy to the police, where observers reported that although he had behaved as if he were a child, indeed he walked as though he were a toddler just learning how. That's interesting. He was clearly not a madman or an idiot, although he did not speak.
This reminds me of there's that old I guess like it probably comes from like Socrates. I'm sure this sounds stupid that I don't know where it's from, but the guys in the cave who are chained and all they see is shadow. All they ever see their whole life is just shadow.
Plato's cave analogy.
Puppetry on the wall, and then one day they leave the cave and the real world is shown to them, and it's like blows their mind because all they ever saw was this, cave.
Have y'all seen 1899 on Netflix?
No, is that good?
Yeah.
I've heard it's good. I think that's a must.
Starts out slow. You have to get through the first 2-3 episodes, and then it starts like, oh.
It's a
there's
very,
some sort of thing going on there with the.
I'm not 100% sure about the ending, but it was cool. It has promise.
See,
it's like
I
Inception
don't
and
know.
Lost put together.
Yeah, the ending made it feel like there's going to be a second season for sure.
Yeah. So he's at the captain's house, and he keeps saying horse.
Yeah. Well, remember, he took him to the police, right?
Like,
Well,
he took him to the police.
Basically, he wouldn't speak unless it was like him parroting words and phrases. Somebody says it, he says it back. He had a very small vocabulary that consisted mainly of words referring to horses. So again, he must have this fixation. Somehow he's kind of fixated on his dad being a cavalryman and horses, that he wants to ride horses like his dad, who's a cavalryman. Not sure where that kind of ties in just yet, right? I mean, it's very interesting. Oddly, although his feet had been damaged from his journey, they were as soft as the palm of a hand, as though he had never worn shoes before he traveled to Nuremberg. Basically, they're saying this guy seemed like he had never worn shoes because his feet were super soft. I kind of feel like that would be the opposite, don't you? Like, if you hadn't worn shoes and you had to walk over terrain and your feet would be harder.
Like a hobbit.
Yeah. So you tell me like hobbits just have like the nicest, softest feet ever?
No.
Of course.
Leathery.
Who would even
Leathery.
think that?
No.
Unless he
19th
hasn't, then
century.
if he's stuck in a cell, he doesn't walk around a lot at all.
True. I mean, he's probably not using his feet much, which is why he walks like a baby. I feel like my feet get softer when I wear shoes, because it's just
Well, they're
all
protected.
Yeah, right.
Like wearing gloves.
Well, you know what? The thing we're not thinking about though is we're thinking about modern shoes and modern comfort.
Yeah, right. These are cobbled together.
These are
shoes.
cobbled.
These
They're
are-
probably hard. Your feet get calloused.
Oh, they didn't have Dr. Scholl's.
No, didn't have Dr. Scholl's.
They didn't have that.
Dr. Scholl's.
They were all probably really cranky.
And when the captain took him to the police, well, the police basically held him in the town prison as a vagabond for the next 2 months.
So he just went to another cell.
He went to another cell. Yeah.
He's good at this.
Poor guy. Probably was no shocker, though.
No, he knew.
Felt at home.
So while he was in custody, Hauser continued to baffle anyone who met him. Though the mayor claimed he was making progress, Hauser was repulsed by all food and drink except for bread and water.
Yeah.
Prison food, man.
Wow.
It's like anything else.
Maybe I need to do that for a couple of years. Just go
bread
eat
and water diet
for a while, and then
maybe
I'll be
That'd be
repulsed
nice.
by everything else.
Oh, this is interesting. So when he was brought a lit candle, he stared at it in amazement and tried to grab it, only to burn his hand. I mean, that's
a
an
little
infant.
baby. Yeah,
It's a child.
He didn't know much. Life
How
is
would
all
you not
new to
seen
him.
a candle before for 16 years?
Yeah, I'm surprised his eyes weren't like super dilated and like some sort of mole man or something, you know?
Mole man. He was equally fascinated by his own reflection in a mirror, which he also tried to grab in vain. Some speculated that he was perhaps a feral child who raised himself in the forests.
Oh, there it is. The wild child.
Mhm.
Raised by wolves.
Hauser was eventually made a ward of the city and went into custody of Lord Stanhope, a British nobleman. Lord Stanhope.
Lord Stanhope.
Lord Stanhope.
Lord Stanhope here.
Please bring me the unlearned child. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Bring me the idiot child, please.
I want to talk about horses with him.
I would love to hear his story of horse
Hmm.
and how he wants to be a cavalryman like his father. Loser. Bring me the loser.
Yes. Horse.
Horse.
So this guy brings him, and what does he do?
All right, so Stanhope's charge. Hauser learned to communicate effectively, and he began to wave a strange tale about being brought up in a prison.
I just I had this moment where I was like, cue the montage, you know, and it's like him, you know, the Stanhope pointing a stick at like the chalkboard, like, say the word.
Horse.
No, that's the.
Cavalry.
Now,
Man.
say this
father,
next word.
Cavalry.
Yes.
Horse.
No, it's
don't
dog.
know. Don't know.
The dog. It's
Don't know.
the dog.
Don't know.
Yeah. But you put it to some good rock music. And over time, he gets that sentence down. I mean,
I can see
Thanks, Lord Stanhope.
Oh, he's learned now.
He's learned. Now he's going to
Keanu
be
Reeves is his teacher.
Yeah.
Come
there you
on,
go.
man. You can do it.
You can totally do this, man.
Say the word the, bro.
Next thing you know, the one of the parts of the montage is like this, the lady that, you know, has the big bosoms comes in and she's undoing a button so every time he gets a answer right, you know, that's good. That's good, Kaspar.
Yeah. You're doing it. Say titties.
Don't grab at them. No.
You're going to burn yourself again, bro.
Yeah. This is so then what happens to this guy?
Oh, okay. According
Poor
to the
Kaspar.
story, Hauser's cell was about 6 feet long. Okay, remember he's saying like, dude, I lived in a prison. I was brought up
Basically.
in a prison. So
Sounds
he's
more
saying
like
that his cell was 6 feet long, 3 foot wide, and 3.5 foot high. Think about that.
Okay, yeah. Whew, that sounds horrible.
That's like a box, dude. That's a coffin. 6 feet long, 3 foot wide, 3 feet high, 3.5 feet high, sorry, with only a straw bed to sleep on. He claimed he was left bread and water to eat and drink, and that water tasted bitter when he drank it and put him into a long sleep. Dude was getting roofied.
Yeah. Bitter drink. What if it was just beer?
It probably was that
know.
nasty vitamin water.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Well,
that.
let's think. Early
And then they made vitamin water out of it.
Yeah. Early 19th century, though, like, was it safe to drink water, or were people still drinking
I don't
alcohol?
think so. I don't
Yeah.
think so.
No,
It was-
yeah.
It would have been a
Still.
bitter water because that's the only thing. So he's probably drinking beer and bread, having
Dude's
bread and
getting
beer
wasted, man.
every night. Yeah, it'd put him to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
He also described a detailed dream in which he found himself in an enormous castle in the company of an elaborately dressed woman and a man all in black with a sword. A professor who had been treating and observing Hauser theorize that this could have been a faint memory of his early life before prison. So is he remembering a life of wealth and luxury before he was in prison? As we continue on in this story, there is another story in a movie that I think was kind of based on this actual story.
Oh, do tell.
We'll get there.
Do tell.
Finally, he was released, but he never saw the face of the man who brought him to the outskirts of Nuremberg, saying that he had been forced to look at the ground the whole journey before being handed the letters and left alone. Hauser was eventually put into the care of a professor studying him, a man named Friedrich Dahmer, who was a schoolmaster and speculative philosopher. Dahmer discovered that Hauser had a talent for drawing. He continued to perform experiments on the boy, but learned little more about his background.
He's not a bad artist. They have a drawing here of an old house with a, not bad. This makes me think of a modern story, Todd, that happened. There's actually been stories of people who have been raised by, apes and stuff. There was a little girl, I want to say 2015. They'd found this girl and she had been brought up by apes, basically.
Really?
She was afraid of her captors, and who knows? I bet you could research where she is today, but I'm sure it's the same kind of thing. Modern day Lord Stanhope and a modern day school person coming along saying, I want to help this person out, right? She's been neglected or whatever, and now she's found in her, at age of 4. Let's help her out with her language skills and get her out of the culture of being an ape and back into being human. This is basically, this happens from time to time. It really is weird, but it does happen. It's crazy. That's what it makes me think of. We should look that story up too. I'd love to see where that girl is at this point. I bet she'd make a good movie.
She's probably working at Meta.
Probably by now.
She made it. I mean, if I were to take a guess, she's probably not cleaning dishes at some restaurant somewhere. She's most likely working at Meta, doing some coding stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay.
This tale basically enthralled all of Europe at the time. Rumors were swirling that Hauser was actually a lost prince, perhaps the son of Grand Duke Karl von Baden and his wife, who had been adopted by Napoleon.
Wait. Who was adopted by Napoleon?
I think the Grand
wife?
Duke von Baden's wife was adopted by Napoleon.
Oh.
Many people, however, thought he was just an imposter seeking fame and fortune. Indeed, the 2 letters he arrived with seemed to have been written in the same hand, that of Kaspar Hauser himself. Now, I wonder how they came to this conclusion because, okay, you're saying that he wrote them himself, but when did you get writing samples from Kaspar? It would have to be after he was learned, right? It would have to be after he was taught how to read and write. I don't know.
Yeah. All very fishy.
Yeah.
This makes me think of another story. There's people who, have been found last 20 years, like on a beach, and they've forgotten who they were and the mystery surrounding them. And they find out later, that it's a guy in America. He's an American guy and basically got, what do you call it when you lose your memory?
Amnesia,
or something.
Yeah. Well, I have heard stories like that
Who
too
knows?
of people who have gotten amnesia and then, or something along those lines, like
Yeah,
major
just something
head trauma.
weird happens. Right.
Something weird happened, major head trauma, and then all of a sudden they're speaking French.
Right. Sure.
Right.
I've
And
heard
it's
that
like,
before too.
Where did this
they
person
have a
even
stroke
come from?
or a near-death experience, and they come back speaking, fluent.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Or have like a British accent. There's one lady that had a British accent, and she's totally never been to never grew up there, just lived in America. Now everybody thinks she's faking it, but she's like, look, I can't help it.
I can't help it. I can't help it.
I can't help it. Yeah, right.
I don't even know what happened to me.
The brain is weird. There has been stories of guys who weren't learnt on piano, and then they got their head hit or had a stroke, and then they can play the piano. It's just crazy. The brain's weird.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
I wonder how that could be possible. In 1829.
So we're dealing with the runaway prince here. What's going to happen to our buddy Kaspar the prince?
Well,
Prince Kaspar.
Prince Kaspar, the friendly, unlearned man. In 1829, a strange incident occurred that seemed to support Hauser's creepy tale. On October 17th, Hauser was found in Dahmer's basement, bleeding profusely from a wound to his head. He claimed he had recognized the voice of his attacker, the same man who had brought him to Nuremberg before being bludgeoned by a cloaked figure. So basically, he's saying, I got hit over the head, but before I got hit over the head, I recognized the voice, and it was the man who brought me to Nuremberg. So not wanting him to dime him out, maybe?
So you mean the guy who brought him to Nuremberg, was it the shoemaker?
No, the shoemaker was who Hauser first ran into.
Okay.
When he got to Nuremberg.
And we don't know about this man, correct?
We don't know anything about this man. And
Got
apparently Hauser doesn't know anything about this man other than this man's voice because he heard it for years. Because remember, whenever he saw this man, he was told to look down, to not look at him, right?
Yeah.
The mysterious figure said, I guess before he hit Hauser over the head, you still have to die ere you leave the city of Nuremberg. Then he vanished. You still have to die.
Sounds demonic.
Well, this guy is an asshole.
That's the thing. Back in the day, they believed all sorts of stuff. And we still
Do you think everybody
all
was an
sorts of
asshole
stuff.
back in the day?
I mean,
Maybe.
it's hard to say, right?
Has it changed much?
It seems like, yeah, it was a little more out in the open back in the day. Today, I feel like people can be, well, I don't know. Social media, that's changed the name of the game altogether with how people treat each other, of course. Now you can just say whatever you want and go hide away in your house.
Your cell.
Ooh.
There you had to do it right there, face to face with courage.
Like a man.
Like a man.
Like if you look up a picture of a human man, you'll see a picture of me and then Hauser.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right, Todd.
April 3rd, 1833. Kaspar Hauser's mysterious life concluded in an equally enigmatic manner. That sound movie trailer like?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I hear it.
Awesome. Nailed it. That evening, he burst through the door of his home in Ansbach, clutching his side and babbling about how he had been lured to the park by a stranger, who then stabbed him in his side. His story was doubted at first, but when Hauser attempted to lead his friends back to the spot of the stabbing, he collapsed midway on the journey. He died of his wounds. The mystery of his life did not end with his death. DNA test in 1988 using a sample from his blood-stained shirt and blood sample from two of his relatives, right?
The Countess and the Duke.
The Duke and the Countess.
The black sword-wielding guy.
Yep. Two of them from two of his famous relatives, their living descendants, have shown he was not, in fact, a prince of Baden.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, the true identity of Kaspar Hauser still remains a mystery.
Here I thought he was going to go on to like make rock music or something. He's the one that created rock and roll. And now you know the rest of the story.
Well, you do remember Van Halen?
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with that story.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought maybe they were going to have a song about him or something.
That would be cool.
Somebody should write a song about him. Horse. Title it Horse.
Horse.
I don't know.
Don't know.
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Well, this is a very interesting tale, Todd. Thank you for Hauser. Is there any more?
No, that's it, man.
He
that's
doesn't
the
go on
story
to...
of Kaspar
So what
Hauser.
what is y'all's idea about this? Where do you think he came from?
I don't know. Because it clearly, if there is a blood-stained shirt and they did some DNA tests on it, this story must be true to some degree, meaning Kaspar Hauser was an actual person
I believe that.
who was actually murdered.
I mean, it stinks to be Kaspar Hauser. It sounds like he had a really crappy life, to be honest. What a mean thing to do to somebody, just lock him into a... I mean, at what age did this begin, right? What if he was... Can you imagine being there with, like, at the age of 2 or something? And you're just there?
I mean, he was there...
a little 3x6x3 box with some straw, and all you're fed is some... bitter water and bread. Like, I guess that's all you know. That's all you know. But it's just so mean to do to somebody. Somebody had to be a real jerk to just like pick this kid out and go, yeah, I'm going to ruin this guy's life.
Well, I think that's where the theories come is he's either got to be a bastard child of a prince.
Somebody trying to hide a secret. Yeah.
Somebody trying to hide a secret. And then, and that being the case with him being so young, you would have to assume that it was, I've got to hide this child away. But you wonder about that too. Like even back in that time, we're talking the early 19th century, people weren't scared to just kill somebody. I mean, just do away with a child.
Yeah, why do this whole
hide him away?
Dance with this poor guy?
Oh, but it could be too. I mean, we don't know the full story. It could be too to where this guy who may have taken Kaspar at a young age was given him. It's like they said, "Hey, take this child." And kill this
bastard.
Take this bastard child and kill this child. And he goes, okay,
I don't want to do that.
But he can't. So he knows he's got to keep this child away almost for his own safety. But then at some point when this kid gets old enough and turns 16, he's like, I gotta let this kid go.
He can't stay in this little grave that I've dug for him. And then who knows? Maybe he gets out there, and the people who wanted him dead had paid this other dude money, and they're like walking along. They're just going and they're getting some fish at the local
and chips,
and they're over there, and all of a sudden they look and they go, they tap. She's like tapping his shoulder. Honey, isn't that our bastard child? And they're like, yeah, it kind of looks like him, right?
That looks just like our bastard child.
Is he not supposed to be dead?
What the shit?
Then we paid that prick Jerry to kill that kid. What the heck? So then they go back to Jerry and they're like, dude, what's
up, dude?
Hey, you didn't
deliver the package.
I want you to do this. You don't chicken out on me.
Yeah, you need to finish the job we paid you for 16 years ago.
Yeah. And so then he's like, fine, I'll 19. Let me wait till 1833, please.
Yeah.
And then he rolls up in there 3 more years.
Right.
How long?
But then he rolls up in there, remember? Because then he rolls up in there and he hits him over the top of the head.
On the head.
And he's like, get out of Nuremberg.
Get out of here.
I still can't be
seen by people.
Get out of here, man.
I mean, it's just so mean. Just leave this kid alone,
Mm-hmm. And then because the Kaspar still doesn't leave, the family ends up hiring some other local crazy dude who then stabs him.
Yeah.
And kills him.
I think we just solved it. This is unfair. Yeah, we've solved this mystery.
Yeah, this mystery's been solved.
These guys, this guy's been solved. Yeah, we've been learned. We've learned.
We've been learned. I mean, in a matter
about
of
him.
50 minutes, we've all
been learned about
Kaspar.
this guy. We've figured out life's answers. I mean, this is just, you're right. Like, why were people such dicks back then? I don't get it. Like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Just to hide a little thing from everybody.
Hide a little bastard child. Yeah.
Hide the bastard child. I mean, it was pretty bad to have a kid out of wedlock, huh? I don't really know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
in Germany, you
you got to think about it this way. It was bad for multiple reasons. For the woman, she was...
women. Yeah.
For the women, I mean, they were now damaged goods. They
really were.
You're now what respectable man is going to want you now that you've had a child out of
now
wedlock?
That you're a whore.
You're a whore. Mm-hmm. You've had a child out of wedlock. No one's going to want you. And then secondly, for the men, because the male heir was
male heir was
deal.
big.
So now if you had your first son with the beer wench,
yeah,
right?
This is not
you've
good.
got to get rid of that child, or you've got to get rid of that child and that beer wench. You know what I'm saying? So there was so much more then. Like now it's a little different. Like now if you aren't married and you sleep with a lady and she gets pregnant and you decide, well, we're gonna, this is what we're gonna do. This is what it is. No one's losing face over having a child. I mean, most deadbeat dads now just bounce, right? I don't know, whatever, who cares? Good luck. So no one cares anymore like they did back then. The reputation meant something back then, and it doesn't so much anymore. Like we said, some dude gets this girl pregnant. He's like, I don't want a baby, and she's like, well, I'm having this child. It's your child. And he goes, I don't care, and bounces. He doesn't care about his reputation. He doesn't care about the child. He doesn't care about anything, But back then, they did. They cared about their reputation more than anything. Like, not the child, not the woman.
Yeah.
Their reputation was everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very different.
Yeah. So you'd be willing to murder and be deceitful and to lie all because of your reputation. Now we just do it for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it just, I feel bad for this poor guy. Maybe he'll get a second life. Maybe God will be like, hey, Kaspar, why don't I'm going to make you Herschel Walker. Who's that? You'll see.
Future non-senator of Georgia.
This is going to be great. Does he like horses? Sure.
I'm pretty certain that Kaspar Hauser came back as Elon Musk.
And that's what I'm saying. I want it to end something where Hauser's like, but it doesn't. Yeah. Let's just pretend. Yeah. Hauser then reincarnated.
Y'all saw about the letter, right? That the killer, the stabber, left on him.
Oh, yeah, no, what did it say?
Yeah, read the letter.
Read it.
Said how in the letter said
read it.
What are you doing? Read it.
I'm looking at where it starts.
Don't know.
When
Kaspar Hauser,
when policemen searched the court garden where Hauser was stabbed, he found a small violet purse containing pencil note, and the message read in German, Hauser will be able to tell you quite precisely how I look and from where I am. To save Hauser the effort, I want to tell you myself from where I come. I come from blank.
A land down under.
Blank on purpose. The Bavarian border on the river blank. I will even tell you the name, MLO. And that was left in the purse in the court, in the courtyard, where he was stabbed.
People are so cryptic.
I know. And then on his headstone, it says, here lies Kaspar Hauser, riddle of his time. His birth was unknown, his death mysterious, 1833.
Wow.
Weird.
Let's make a statue of him.
My God. So, I mean, obviously when he was in
Ansbach, Germany.
So how long is this whole story? So when he came to Nuremberg before his death, how long are we talking? 5? How many years?
Let's see. What year did we say that he showed up? 1828. 1828, and then he was killed. And then he was killed in 1833.
Yeah, like 5. So he would have probably been famous. So I guess maybe at this point, if word got around of this strange young man, and then he got adopted by this count or whatever, these rich people. So I'm sure he probably was a little bit of a celebrity.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I'm sure every time he went around, the people in town would go,
yeah. So why would someone want to?
Because that's all they did back in the day,
Why would someone? Do you think he was led into the court, and then that's where he was stabbed?
Yeah. So the letter, though, you said in the letter, this guy basically states Hauser knows who who I am and can identify me.
He kind of told anyway, which is weird too. Like, what's going on here? Why is this guy being cryptic, and what's going on here? Unless
this is a real riddle.
Unless he was also crazy and he just wanted some claim to fame.
Well, you'd have to be to, imprison somebody in a little dirt cave for months on end, don't you think? You'd have to be a little bit weird.
Yeah,
absolutely.
A lot of weird people, right?
Or just sadistic.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sadistic and weird. Who knows? It's a strange story, Todd. Where do you find these strange stories?
Is this your Sunday morning read?
Yeah, it's my Sunday morning read.
What's the takeaway?
What is the takeaway?
What do we do with this guy?
You remember how I did say that there's a movie and a story that basically mimics this?
Yeah, I forgot.
You remember The Man in the Iron Mask?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good movie.
Yeah.
What's
So
the
this
book?
is kind of
DiCaprio, right?
Yeah. So in that particular,
it's been a while.
Yeah, in that particular story, it was kind of the same thing, right? You had two princes that were twins, and they had to get rid of one of them. But even in that, they don't kill the other prince, which would make logical sense. They just hide him away for the day that they can escape and then turn up and ruin your big plans.
And put him in an iron mask. This is just mean.
So Kaspar could have had a twin brother. But we said he's not a prince. Well, he wasn't a prince of what?
That sounds like
names.
He's pretty boring. At the end of the day, he's just some kid that got treated poorly.
Well,
by a jerk.
Here's a little note too that says somebody who posted a comment, whether this is legit or not, but it does say August 2002. There was another documentary that was made on the Franco-German TV channel ARTE, and there was a second DNA test done. So in this second DNA test, they're basically saying that it was absolutely unscientific and false at the present time to rule out Kaspar Hauser as a possible crown prince of Baden.
Did we find some new technique? What happened?
They're just saying
is he or isn't he a prince?
We don't know. It's still a mystery, bro.
It's just sad. It's a sad story. Poor guy. I mean, at least he got some notoriety and he got to draw some pictures, I guess. Finally got to see himself in the mirror,
Yeah, that's true.
Good for you.
They're saying that there's a good chance that Hauser self-inflicted his wound.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because the letter, and he mentioned something about like writing in pencil, and the letter was written in pencil and in a mirror writing. So you had to look in the mirror to see it, and he wrote it like that. And they said there's a good chance that he could have done it himself.
Wait a minute. What if Hauser was the guy? Hauser was a dual personality, and the guy who was telling him to look down at the ground was just him. Like straight up Fight Club, bro.
Which probably lends why he was locked up, because he was,
and then
special.
Yeah,
he's
schizophrenic, man.
Yeah, and they locked him up because a lot of people did that.
He had somebody telling him he was Tyler Durt's the first. You know what I mean?
Okay,
he was
so
telling
what
him,
you're saying here.
Yeah,
you're saying that
the riddle solved.
This guy was legitimately insane, and he was locked away in a prison.
He did himself,
and he escaped.
He did it to himself.
And then in escaping, he's already had this fantasy that he's created in his own mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no, it's the other person in his mind. There's only two people living in this guy's body. Our dude that likes to say horse, and the other dude.
Ooh.
And it's him.
So he wrote the letters. He hit himself over the head. He stabbed and killed himself.
A ding, 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 ding.
We figured it out again.
Solved it.
They say that his brain was smaller than average because of everything.
Well, I mean, once you hit yourself over the head, maybe your brain shrinks.
Yeah, I don't know. Man. Well, gosh, there we go. I think we figured it out.
I think we did figure it out. It sounds... our version of the story, though, sounds way more interesting and intriguing than this story. It's interesting. I get it. I don't know. I could see how at the time in the early 19th century that this would be like the talk of the town.
Oh yeah,
the big deal. Did you guys hear? He only says horse.
Rumor.
But you know, today in our modern era, there's way cooler stories out there.
I'm telling you, got to look up this one with the girl who gets found in the jungle, man.
Yeah, I just read one the other day, and it was about this guy, kind of similar thing, where he was traveling with his parents as a young infant, and his parents they crashed their plane, and his parents had died, and he was then in turn raised by these apes in a forest. Yep. And he would swing from vine to vine.
Yeah, Tarzan.
Going, oh, yeah, that was Tarzan.
Yeah, Tarzan.
Yeah, that was Tarzan. Sorry.
But no, there is a real life like it was a girl this time though.
Jane?
Tarzette.
Tarzine.
Tarzine. Yeah. And I mean, I think that they're still rehabilitating this poor girl, you know, but this is like a incredible find. You know, it's so rare.
Oh, sure.
Wow, you were raised by animals and you can barely talk. Let's help you out, you know. Can you imagine? No. Can you imagine being on the Today Show and saying what your life was like before you realized you were human? So weird.
It's like when tribes see, a white person for the first time and they're like, what the hell is this?
I actually saw a video of that the other day too. Indigenous tribe out of, I want to say Australia. This dude was on like a TikTok channel, and I was like, dude, just be careful. These kind of guys can, eat you.
Mm-hmm.
But the tribe grabbed him, and they were all excited, and they were pulling him in further into where their camp was, and I'm like, that's oddly terrifying. I don't know if I would do that, but yeah, there's still people, groups out there that rarely see anybody different but themselves in the bush. Pretty weird.
Yeah.
Isn't there a place in South America where they still haven't even had a representative show up and talk to a certain tribe?
I don't know. I mean, I saw something a while back where it was like a plane overhead or something like that, and these tribal people were throwing spears at them, and
this is still happening today. It's crazy. I'm hoping one day we find like little tiny people, like they're human but they're tiny
in
like
your
really
cupboard.
Tiny. Like daishiki tiny, like the willow kind of guys, like and they're dwarfish? All like
dwarfism. Huh? Dwarfism?
No, like just super tiny, like Indian in the cupboard kind of tiny. Mm-hmm. Normal proportions, just tiny, and you could hold one in your palm of your hand, like a Chihuahua human.
Chihuahua human. Yeah. Not a human male like me. Like the example,
just a Chihuahua,
like me. Yeah.
A Chihuahua-sized human.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great. I think that there's something that has happened where like we found remains or something of it where they don't exist anymore, but
I don't know. It's quite fascinating. I mean,
I learn a lot, and who knows where half of it comes from.
Yeah. Well, they do talk about, that the earth was different, that the sun was different millions and millions of years ago. And that, on this planet, that's the reason that vegetation and animals, dinosaurs, things like that, were as big as they were because it was a different atmosphere.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. This is pre-flood, right?
Right. Exactly.
If everybody is reading the story of their flood, which it's not just in the Bible, it's in a lot of narratives.
Oh
right?
Yeah, it's in almost all ancient civilization text and lore.
A lot of people I've heard that if there was a flood, and which I do think there was. A big catastrophic event. They say that, or what I've heard is that there could have been a bigger canopy of, think of it as like an eggshell around the earth, that when this catastrophic event went down, all of this ice or this surrounding shell that kind of sealed us in from a lot of radiation, broke, causing this torrential new rainfall that we'd never seen before. the Earth would have also been tilted a little bit off axis from what it was originally.
Right. I have heard that.
And all this ice would have rained down. And also this, because of this catastrophic event, water came from the deep, et cetera, flooded the Earth, But then now we have a cloud cycle, which we wouldn't have had before, a whole weather cycle that we learn about. But it all stems from, whereas before it would have potentially just been a nice cocoon or like a real tropical climate all throughout the Earth, not several biomes, but one biome.
Yeah.
And I've heard that very thing too. Yeah.
Yeah. Another theory that I've heard as well is that pre all these times that there wasn't as much water on Earth as there is now, meaning that, where there is ocean now was so much lower that humans that, prehistoric humans lived lower on, I guess, lower elevation than we currently live now. And that, so civilizations were built up. Everything, better. Oxygen was better. Everything was better.
Sun radiation. You
exactly. And now that we live up higher, I mean, think about it. As a Caucasian person living on this planet, some millions and millions of years later, after the planet was, why is it so harmful to us? Why does it give us cancer? Why does it burn our skin? Why does it do these things? Well, because we're not developed for that. That in this theory that we're developed for a much lower climate and elevation than we currently live in, and that when the Great Flood, I think there's no debate that there was a Great Flood. Even science says that there was, and a lot of ancient. So, the question comes up: is it a God thing, or is it just a nature thing, right?
And did it cover the Earth?
Did it cover the Earth? Did it cover some of the Earth, part of the Earth?
A lot of people just theorized it covered like a portion. People were different, right? A portion of
their area of Earth, right?
Their area, and they had to move. Yeah.
So basically, in this theory, it goes on to say that this great meteor that came, or this great whatever that came to hit Earth to basically eradicate dinosaurs and all this kind of stuff, that on this was frozen liquid, that water was frozen on this giant thing. So when this comet hits Earth and it burns up in our atmosphere, that extra water that we have now was part of it. And then it created the Great Flood, which then created all these elevations that we lived in to flood out, and for a lot of our species to die, and for dinosaurs to die, and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, interesting theories, right?
Yeah, I definitely think, there's something to it.
There was definitely a shift. There was definitely a seismic shift in species and everything. We can either take it a spiritual route or take it a evolutionary route. But there was this giant shift, and that was around the flood period. And that it was different before, but different before the flood. Just like pandemic, it was different before the pandemic than it is
pre-flood,
now.
Post-flood,
9/11. Don't they think that
when I was born,
pre-Josh, post-Josh,
pre-Josh, post-Josh,
down now.
Yeah.
Pre Kaspar Hauser, post Kaspar Hauser.
Who knows?
He could have opened
the world
up a
really
gate.
Changed then. He really caused a big uproar in his time.
What would have happened? This is to continue this. What would have happened if this were nowadays, and a boy shows up, just like in his fashion? How would it be different?
I think you know what though? It has happened. I'll tell you where it's happened. The story of the weird ass family that had I want to say 12 kids, and they chained them to beds. Have you heard this story?
Yes.
And when one of the girls finally, I think she must have been about 16, 14, 15, 16. One of the girls realizes something's up. This isn't the normal.
They weren't allowed to go out into the world.
They weren't. All they knew was this house and these weird parents. They weren't allowed to see anything. Although the parents would take them on trips and do vacation photos with them, they would immediately be brought back to their house. They were told to be silent on vacation. Don't talk to anybody. They'd be brought back to the house and then rechained to their bed. And their parents were just psychos. This girl gets out. she doesn't even know what a street sign is. She knows that she can get a phone. They had a phone in the house that was like a play phone, and I don't know, maybe she figured, I don't know exactly. You'd have to look how she did it, but she steals a phone, calls 911, which somehow she'd heard about that. The operator's like, well, tell me where you are. She's like, I don't know where and of course, the whole time they're like, what am I dealing with here? Is this like what's going on? Come to find out, this whole time the family had basically just been imprisoning these kids in the house, treating them like animals. I mean, that's a modern day, Kaspar, really.
Well, and you're right. And in that story, there were 2 daughters who ended up doing like an ABC or NBC interview or something like that.
Yeah.
And you can see in the way that they speak, and
it's just different.
I mean, even their awkwardness towards just being a social human. You can see it. I mean, it's very telling.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the interview, you really can.
They couldn't do a lot of things. Like I don't think they could read. I don't think they could, there were certain things that they, that had just been deprived from them. So yeah, it's a very modern day Kaspar Hauser.
And just the sickness of these parents that decided this would be the way they would treat their kids. And of course they're all in jail now, and these other siblings are out and hopefully in good families.
Yeah. Hopefully. I think a lot got adopted. Some were already adults and have tried to, get their lives together. People have stepped in and raised money for them and helped give them educations. And so, a lot of good things. So I think, if you had a Kaspar Hauser today, I think you would see that, but I think you would see it because it is a fascinating tale, and we love to look at car wrecks. We love to see it, So I think that's what you see. I don't think in today's society somebody wants to murder those kids, right? Like to keep them quiet.
Yeah, no. At this point, they're very probably very well taken care of and cherished human beings. I hope that's the hope. But what a weird. I'm sure they go through a lot of therapy.
Makes you wonder how the media might even. I don't know why this came to my head. Who was the Gonzalez? Who was a kid in Miami? That adopted father was here, and it was this whole conflict about, does he have the right to be here in the States?
Oh, right. And his wife leaves and goes back to
remember all that was going.
Cuba or whatever.
They made it was like this huge media storm.
And doesn't he finally win him back custody wise?
I think we've actually mentioned this once before on the podcast. I think we mentioned this boy, but it makes me think of how crazy the media went after it. Like, I mean, it was.
They love this stuff.
I was in the restaurant in Miami, which is where the media was based during that whole thing, because his house was right down the road. And I mean, the whole town, that whole section was just swarmed with national and international media. I mean, it became a town. It makes me wonder if something like this happens, if it would become such a press storm.
Oh, without a doubt.
And I think too,
if not, it would make for a good local news story, right?
For sure. Yeah. I think too, you have to think about what makes some of these stories more intriguing than others, because I think this stuff doesn't happen regular enough to where we all pay attention, but I think it happens pretty often in comparison to it not happening. But my point being is, if it's a young child who's come over to America at this time, and we're all like, well, should we have borders, or should we have open borders or closed borders? So it's so intriguing at this time. Had that been a 22-year-old fat dude crossing the border, we don't care. But that happens every day. You see what I'm saying? Like, it happens every day. But we don't care. It's what pulls at our heartstrings, if it's a young child. Whoa, man, this is
a 70-inch TV.
A 70-inch TV that you drop
at the corner of and
it breaks. Yeah. And everyone wants to know about it. So you share your story. You share it with the world.
You share that. For me, the takeaway here with this Hauser guy is it's just one more blessing to count in my own personal life. I could have been young Kaspar Hauser. We all could have been, but we weren't. We were born, most of us, into good, old-fashioned platonic, whatever you call it, families. I mean, it wasn't perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I hear what you're saying. I mean, to the extent though, I think we all have, honestly, I think we all have a little bit of a Kaspar Hauser story in us. Sure. Not as extreme. I mean, we weren't locked in most of us, hopefully, we weren't locked in a small box and then murdered. But we do have some weird stuff in our family where this happened or that happened. And, you just have to then go out into the real world as an adult and do your best with it. Yeah. And tackle it. And, so.
And no, but I guess I say, to your average, I feel like there's a lot of anxiety, and we're all talking about mental health and those are all great things. I don't think they're bad. And I do think we all need to go through therapy, but put your things into perspective, Oh, sure. There's a lot of stories you could have been and you weren't.
But we don't look at it that way, Tim, unfortunately.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You should.
We should. No, you're dead on right. But it's like, okay, think about it this way. We go into an impoverished area, whether it be here in the States or in another country, and we see it and we go, oh my gosh, I'm so fortunate. I mean, I have a nice house. I have a couple cars. I've got computers and phones. Like I've got a lovely family. Like I'm so fortunate, right? Mm-hmm. And we think that, and we get home and 6 months passes, 2 years pass, and we go, you know what? This car's got 65,000 miles on it. And I just,
how come my phone is so slow?
This phone is super slow. And my new car doesn't have
internet.
Like, what the hell? Like, this internet sucks. My car doesn't have Apple Play. Like, oh my gosh, but we really do that. So even though we should constantly every day wake up, whether you're religious or not, you should wake up every day and look at the beauty around you. And it's not always beautiful, but there are beautiful things, even when you're suffering, I think, and you have a horrible period in your life where something tragic has happened, either to yourself or to someone you love, and you feel like it's all crashing in on you. Even in that point or that moment in your life, there is someone, at least one person, that cares about you. And, that's right. But we don't think about that stuff because we think about the moment. And we're talking about, that's extremely tragic cases. But even in our everyday, we wake up and we go, you know what, today just sucks. Why does it suck? Well, I got to do this or that. And, whatever it is, I dropped the TV, today sucks, but in the end, even in my little story that I shared earlier, I was disappointed. I was sad. The world at the time was caving in, and that's a very first world problem. It really is, and I understand that. But what I'm saying is, at that moment, my wife saw the devastation just all over me, man, because it sucked. It did.
It does suck.
It does suck. But for my wife to give me a moment and then to come around the corner and to be gentle with me and to tell me it's okay, it'll be fine. We'll figure this out and we'll get another TV. Just let this go. Because of that, I was pretty quickly able to let that go and just say, you know what, you're right. It is just a TV. Yeah. But like that I just shared is, I think I needed someone that I cared about and that cared about me to walk in and to just let me know that. And maybe that's what we need to do for other people. Tim, like you said, maybe it's not just as easy as waking up and saying, man, today's going to be great. I think just on a daily basis, whether it be someone we know, someone we sort of know, someone that we get coffee from at Starbucks, or, someone we're just passing at the moment, just letting them know, hey man, that's okay. That's all right. Don't worry about it. It's cool. Things are going to be good. Maybe we just all need to start doing that a little bit more.
Yeah, content.
I think so.
Contentment.
I think so. Buy somebody a latte from time to time. In the drive-thru, buy their lunch.
Listen, it's not a latte that you have to do.
Whoa.
Oh, gosh, nailed it. Wow. All right, let's wrap this up. I got it.
Wow.
Oh, man. And scene. And
scene. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Well, yeah, I mean,
Well, if you would like to know more about Kaspar Hauser, where can we...
If you Google Kaspar Hauser...
With a K.
With a K. One of the best things is when somebody says, oh, where do I find, or what is that? What is this? Or whatever, the Kaspar Hauser thing. And you say, well, yeah, I guess I can look that up for you. That website Let Me Google That For You is the best website ever.
That is a terrific website.
Ever.
Let me Google that for you.com.
Because what it does, if you guys haven't used it,
it's totally great.
You got to use it.
It's a troll move.
Oh my gosh,
so
it's a total
good.
troll move. So the next time somebody asks you something very trivial that they could look up themselves, you go to letmegooglethatforyou.com. You type in what they just asked you, it could be anything, like
Maybe you should
how do you tie?
Let people just find this themselves.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Almost you shouldn't even describe it. Just let people see it for themselves.
It's absolutely anything. You know what I mean? So you go in and then you go to that website and you type that in for them. And what that does is it gives you a link. And then you respond to that person who asked the question with that link. And when they click on that link, it literally shows them how to Google that for themselves.
How to Google that. Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's like teaching a man to fish. I have a personal story about it. I was working for this church out in Idaho, and my boss, he was something else. He's a funny guy. His name was Austin, and he did that to me a couple times. I'd ask him about some video editing question. He'd be like, "Oh, hold on, I think I have the answer," and then he would send me that link, and I was always like, but it did something to me. I think what am I? Gen X.
Gen X.
I don't know what I am. I'm 1977.
You're cool. You're cool. So you're Gen X. Sorry, Josh.
Well, thanks.
You're still cool, Josh.
I think for the guys who in the 90s, the internet didn't exist, and then all of a sudden it did. It really did take some time for me to go, oh, you really can just find any answer you want. I didn't put two and two together. Like, it's so obvious.
Well, I think and I think it goes a little bit deeper too. I mean, the truth is, and again, kind of what we just talked about with, just listen to people, just be there, tell them it's going to be okay. But when somebody asks you a question like that, and and we all know that you can just look it up yourself, you can find the answer yourself. What somebody's really doing when they ask you that question is they just want to have a conversation. They just want conversation.
Yeah, tell me about it. I have a daughter right now who asks sometimes the most obvious questions, and it's all because she wants to start a conversation.
100%. Yeah.
It's like you're eating an egg sandwich and you're about to take a bite. Hey, Dad, you about to eat a bite of that sandwich? And you're like, yes.
Yeah. Do you think that
drives Michelle nutty?
Yeah. Do you think that sandwich is going to be good?
Even that's better than, are you about to bite that sandwich? Yes, I'm about to bite the sandwich. Look, you can see me doing it. But it's all to start the conversation.
It's all just being a part of it.
Unfortunately, the rest of the conversation is, does it taste like egg? Yes, it tastes like egg. Oh, God.
I know.
Anyway.
I know.
Oh, well.
Being human is not
Tim.
easy.
You could have been put in a box.
That's the truth. You could.
That way you tell your kids you could have been put in a box.
You know what?
Yeah, that's why it's so. Well, yeah. I mean, I do tell kids that
you're watching me eat my
I don't
egg
say
sandwich.
that you could have been. I don't say to kids you could have been Kaspar Hauser. I say something even more morbid. And Todd, you probably heard me say this. You could have been born 30 miles from Chernobyl, and all of your life is this. You were born with major radiation, whatever it did to you, it scrambled your DNA while you were in the womb. There are people that have their no sense of hearing, sight, or anything. And they're little orphans that just lay on the floor of this orphanage together with other kids that are just like them. They can't hear. They can't smell. I mean, they can smell. They can't really hear or see or talk. And that's their life. They have a caretaker that comes in, watches over them, maybe. And there's a whole documentary and photos you can see on this. There's one kid that had their brain was outside of their skull. And so they have to be super gentle with them. And like, that's their life. And then, you go through your day and you go, why didn't they put, hazelnut in my latte? I'm so pissed. And it's like, oh gosh, shut up.
Yeah.
I'll tell kids that because, for a while there, I was teaching a little bit of video production at some schools over in Idaho, and most of the time what I heard was just whininess, right?
Yeah.
Like extreme whininess, like I don't really know what I want to do. Everything's so dumb, and you're like, what is wrong with you? Like, I get it. Like I've been there. We got to just slap out of it, right? Like all of our physical needs are met, and so we're just starving spiritually. I feel like, or starving with at least.
We're too involved with ourselves.
We're just too
obsessed with ourselves, and
I mean,
open up. It's not about It's not about you.
I think it's neat to have all these things. It's neat to have all this, fancy life that we live in, but it's also kind of taken us out of our A game.
Oh, certainly. And
being appreciative.
And I've said this for years as well, is in certain countries and certain even parts of the States here, when your primary focus is how you're going to get through the day, whether it be food, whether it be survival,
burning computer parts for warmth.
Right. Well, I mean, when that is your major concern was that your childhood about few.
No, there are kids in Africa that have that as a child.
But when your major concern is about survival, food, warmth, safety, and that's what you think about day in and day out, you don't have time to focus on these minute, ignorant things that we here think about often.
Life is a lot simpler. Which there's truth and science behind that.
But we've taken that away.
Make life so complicated. We make it so much more difficult for ourselves.
That's what's interesting. I think Josh, is like, we have advanced so far in humanity that we can literally, in our modern society here in most countries, but here in the States, in the U.S., we don't have to go hunt for food. I can literally just go right down the street and get what I need. I'm not concerned about warmth because I have central heating and air, and I can afford it. I'm not concerned about travel because I have a car that runs, and I'm not concerned about the price of gas really, even though it's high, because I have some funds so I'm not concerned about all these things. So I don't think about them daily. And when I don't think about it daily, I start thinking about other things. Like, do you think that baby elephants are loved as much as they should be?
Yeah, right.
Do you think that? Yeah. I'm going to start a website about that. And you know what? I'm going to tell everyone I see, when I go and I get some food and I go get a coffee, I'm going to let everyone know that baby elephants aren't loved as much as they should be. And when I tell that to somebody who's in another place that's hungry and cold and scared, they look at me like I'm insane, because I am. Because who gives a shit if baby elephants are loved? I don't.
Whoa, Todd.
Sorry, guys. I just don't.
Dude,
Disclaimer, we don't support baby elephants on this podcast.
We hate baby elephants.
I like baby. I think they're cute.
Tim has one, actually.
Oh, Tim, come on.
I would love one. I would love a baby elephant.
You put it with one of your,
for a time. I would definitely foster a baby elephant, and then when it
that baby elephant's going to get big, Tim. And when he gets big, he's going to have other needs. Are his older needs going to be met?
He's going to still want to be cuddled by you.
Because here's the deal, guys.
Oh, well,
you just lay on top of him and just.
When a baby elephant's no longer a baby elephant, is an adult elephant loved as much as a baby elephant is loved? And I have a problem with that. And I'm going to start a website.
You should.
And a GoFundMe.
I'll write the acoustic treatment for it.
Thank you.
The video.
I appreciate that. But no, you guys understand my point here. My point here is,
by all means, go out there, make causes,
dude, yes.
People. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Josh, nail on the head. Yes. I mean, yes, when we have such modern luxury, that we don't have to worry about these things like food and safety and shelter, when we don't have to worry about those things, yes, we can then now pour ourselves into other causes, which we should. But at the same time, chill out. Remember, you're fortunate.
Chill.
I think we all need to go on that show Alone on the History Channel, where we only are allowed 10 things, and we have to. They should totally send 10 rookies out there.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm calling day one. I'm calling day one. It's cold.
Oh, I know, right? I know.
I can't find any food.
I kind of think I could make it for like at least 5 days.
Do you really?
Yeah, I think I could. I would really give it a
Tim,
hard
do you
try,
hunt and fish?
No. But I could forage. I could forage for berries. Actually, I would eat a squirrel.
Okay, let me ask you this. Oh, wait, I'd eat
I'd
squirrel.
have to learn how to skin
absolutely.
one.
But here's my thing, though, is how do you know what berry to eat, Tim?
Well, they teach you, I think.
They don't teach you, Tim. You got to know this
Sure,
stuff.
you could. Well, you could.
That's why it's survival.
You Google it.
You don't have Google.
You just start. No, I go before Google it before you go. Like, start memorizing. Maybe you need to start practicing.
So you know the difference between a berry that will give you nourishment or a berry that will give you the shits.
Well, I think that they get a little bit of coaching from, like the locals there. They'll tell you, hey, this is what a berry we have that's not necessarily, known in North America, and it's called this berry, and But yeah, have you guys ever seen this show Alone?
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrific.
Oh, I love the show. It's great.
Yeah, I think they do get a bit of a crash course in certain things that they can eat in this specific region.
Yeah,
but yeah, a lot of them definitely come with a foreknowledge of everything. Like they just know a lot about.
Because if not, it probably won't be very entertaining. If they're just like, well, I'm screwed. I'm just gonna sit here.
This is me on Alone. Day one, they dropped me off. This is pretty dope, guys. Nice and quiet, right? Oh man, this is great. Look at that. Oh my gosh, look at those mountains. This is amazing, right? That night, what the fuck? What was that noise?
Yeah, that night.
What was that?
I
right?
know.
All right, so I get through the night. I barely sleep. I wake up in the morning. I'm hangry. I'm tired, angry, and hungry, right? And I spend the day. I'm like, okay. Well, I'll find something, right? I'll forage. I'll use this rock and bash this rat's head in, whatever. By the time that night rolls around again, and I haven't eaten, beep boop 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 beep. Yeah, it's Todd. Yeah, I'm tapping out.
It's you say that, Todd. There's actually been some.
I know.
There's been a couple of contestants that have come on that show, and they're like day one, like, yeah, no, I saw a cougar. I'm out.
Nope, not doing it. I lost my one arrow.
I totally get that one. That would be frightening. Cougar would be crazy.
I'm telling you, that's how it would play out for me.
Wolf.
That's if I made it through the night. That's if I made it. If I made it through the night, I would last one other full day of daylight, but that would be it.
I hear you, man. I had some friends that at least they did what is it called? The Pacific Crest Trail, PCT.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that by day 30, you're just like, oh, neat, another wolf or bear. I mean, they don't even, at that point, they're just like, whatever. Yeah, it's not that scary. I mean, obviously, you're like, you make some noise and you go, hey, get out of here, bear. But like, you're kind of over it.
What's the phrase?
Hey, bear. Hey, bear. Hey, bear. Bear. Hey, bear. Hey, bear. Horse.
If it's
horse.
brown,
horse.
you stay your ground. Horse. If it's black, you
attack.
Turn your back.
If it's brown, you flush it down.
If it's yellow,
let it mellow.
Mellow. Wow. If it's brown, flush it down.
I thought that's where you're going with that.
Yeah, me too.
What the hell are you talking about, Josh?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know there was one for bears.
I don't know.
If it's brown, invite it over for dinner.
If it's black, sneak attack. And there you have it.
There it is. Well, guys,
but this has been a topic.
Good talking to you.
I don't even know what we were originally talking about.
About Kaspar Hauser.
Oh, that's right, Kaspar.
That guy. That
the
really
horse.
Yeah. So thank you, Todd, for bringing him up to me and to Josh, inviting us in.
I like to educate, and sometimes it's
really good.
It's good. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah,
okay. It's okay. I think we come away.
I just like talking to you guys. I make up a story. I go find a dumb story. I let somebody let me Google that for you, and and I read the story to you. I just want to talk to you guys.
I know.
I just want you to be there for me.
I'm not trying.
I just want you to listen.
I definitely kind of yawned to a little couple times on this one.
Yeah, listen, guys. It was more about I dropped my TV. I felt sad. I wanted to talk.
Yeah. Okay.
You guys were there, and I love you guys so much. And
yeah, I love you too.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, love you guys.
Love
See
y'all.
you guys. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Be sure to subscribe to the Created by Human podcast. Leave us a review. Follow us on our socials at Created by Human. Head over to createdbyhuman.com for additional information. Sign up on our mailing list and check out our Created by Human swag. Does it just sound like gibberish? We'll be back next week with an all-new story that is sure to make you question, is it true or was it?
Created by Human